Hey.
Hey, Erik, how you doing?
Hey.
Hey, Erik.
Good. How are you gentlemen doing?
All good, thank you. I watched you last night for hours on end, and the Hodl gang thing. Yeah.
We always have a very good time with each other.
Yeah, you're a fellow Bitcoin philosopher.
Yeah, well, I like to call myself a thinker. I don't think I'm not nearly smart enough to be a philosopher. I just follow the path other people give me. So.
Yeah, but I just called you one, so now you're one.
All right. Right. Well, happy Infinity Day, gentlemen. I've been thinking that Infinity Day is like one of our official holidays. You know, very very similar to all of the other Bitcoin festivals that we have. So yeah. It's great to always get together and share what that is for each other.
What are you guys' favorite Bitcoin holidays? What are the top 3?
This one.
Well,
Number one.
That's an obvious one. But then, I like Pizza Day, I guess.
I really like Pizza Day.
I was going to say Pizza Day, but I want us to. We need to change it to something a little healthier. We need to like just have it be like a meat pizza day or something. I don't know. We got to figure it out.
But it's kind of like self-flagellation, you know. One day a year, we just stuff ourselves with pizza to pay our
so we're understanding what these types of holidays are going to evolve into over time.
Yeah.
Like we have no idea what the Bitcoin Infinity Day is going to be in 30 years, but hopefully we'll still be around and it could be have evolved into something pretty significant.
Yeah. And speaking of Pizza Day, I think Giacomo Zucco put it best that yes, carbs are poison, but real men eat poison every once in a while.
Yeah, there is some truth to that for sure.
Yeah. So what have you been up to lately, Erik? You have a new book coming out, right?
Yeah, so the book is completed. It's published. It's getting launched. So I'm going to be doing some kind of book touring stuff at the different festivals. Yeah, finally. Like I felt like after even I got it over the finish line, it took forever. But now a lot of it is sort of presenting the philosophical approach that is crypto sovereignty. And on a personal level, like I've just been reading a ton more philosophy, and crypto sovereignty in a lot of ways is sort of my own preliminary approach to this vexing question of like, what is Bitcoin in terms of its deepest essence? And I've found sort of on the evolution that I've been going towards, I feel like I now have like a sort of complete holistic framework for the presentation of my theory, whereas the current book, Crypto Sovereignty, is sort of a smattering or a constellation of these essays and the approach towards this question of how cryptography in the digital age creates a new form of sovereignty that we haven't seen before. So people are liking the message. It's pretty wild because it's so sort of heady and out there. I never expected for people to really grasp onto it. So it's really fun to see that people want to have this kind of dialogue.
Well, it's well deserved. You've been putting out killer content for years now. And, I find writing to be a very good way of structuring your own thoughts. So in writing, you sort of figure things out during the process, and you sharpen your arguments, and you find a more cohesive picture of what you're trying to think. That makes any sense. Can you relate to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel so lucky and blessed that one of my best friends, he's like a lead cryptographer at Block, and he's extremely well read in philosophy. And so I get to, every few weeks sit down with him and have these really great, hour-long conversations that help me when I go back to writing, approach it in a little bit of a different way. In all honesty, like it's really incredible to see, like yourself and so many others that are going to come on this program and friends of ours through Bitcoin, that there truly is this movement of thought and understanding to try to really understand the depth of what we're trying to accomplish here. And there seems to be a rising consciousness of people understanding that like Bitcoin actually isn't about money, but it's actually about the commonality of our wealth and how we collectivize that in a meaningful way so that we still maintain our individuality in that. And it's awesome, man. Like, I'm just so happy that I get to participate in it and that people are appreciating my thoughts and contributions.
Yeah, well, and we love to have you in the space. I mean, you're a great asset to it. And we're going to meet you a couple of times this fall, I think. You're coming to both Riga and Amsterdam. Is that correct? Is there another European conference? Yeah, and then you're coming to Atlantis as well, to Madeira in March, right? Fucking awesome.
You got all those, and there's a few other ones too. That there's going to be one down in Costa Rica as well. But yeah, I'm really excited. Just 'cause it's so important for me to have people really understand that, like, I always find it hilarious, sort of the constant tensions Bitcoin holds, because, like, you know, I'm sitting here thinking that I'm telling somebody about the most important philosophical development in the world. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, Bitcoin's just money. Like, how's that? And it's like, no, it's so it's nice that I have a book now, because instead of me going on my diatribe and losing them halfway through, I can just be like, here's my book that you probably won't read, but if you do, you're gonna some new what Bitcoin and cryptography does in our and optics are gonna escape it.
Yeah. You're gonna find out that having a book is way better than having a CV.
Yes, well, this is all such a thrown journey for me too. You know, like I mean, I'm just really excited about these ongoing dialogues. You know, and like watching each new person get orange pilled. You know, like as soon as like Sailor came along, I was like, oh great! Like now we have this powerful figure that people are listening to who really gets it down in the depths. And is a great person to kind of send more normie people along to, who want to listen to kind of more of an authority, if you will, about why and how money is doing this really spectacular thing. But even more so than that, like I've been pretty, I've been a little too like squishy and soft lately. And I've been really getting into this idea of like, Bitcoin's really about friendship, and like the deepest kind of friendship that it is. 'Cause like we're getting to that etymological origin of the word friend, it actually means like a sharing of love. And so it's about like our own shared love of this idea. And like this idea itself is sort of what recovers in totality, in my opinion, like what the law is supposed to be and how it is supposed to function. And so it's really beautiful to get to have people go, whoa, like maybe this Bitcoin thing is something bigger than just money.
Yeah, and there's no clear distinction between what the idea is and what the money is. Like it's all blurred together. It's all one unified thing. Like you can view it through all these lenses, but at the end of the day, that's just all the same thing. And all it is an agreement on a fixed set of rules to which we all participate, because we see that this is a functioning system where it's actually more expensive to try to cheat the system than to just obey these rules. And what that enables is a perfect representation of the scarcity of our lifetimes, so that we can interact with each other completely peacefully, because game theory tells us that it's not economically viable to try to steal this thing from us, because on a game theoretical average, if you know the other person's stack, you get 50%, because if you kill them, you get nothing. So game theory says that you get 50% of whatever you know that they own. And you cannot know how many Bitcoins another person owns. So that even that number trends to zero, especially if you take into account that a much better choice is just to trade with the other person and give them your goods and services for the Bitcoins. That's a much, much more economically feasible move. So it removes violence completely. And all it is a mathematical experiment in the back of our heads. And it's, I just can't drop the thought of that. It's just so fucking wild.
You're touching on a very important thing. Is that Bitcoin harmonizes every kind of relationship in the entire world.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, like, the trick of this idea that once you start thinking about it, and there's this sort of double turning in the idea, that like you find yourself as like this trapped economic actor that's actually like faced with the realist ethical questions of like, well, I could like cut off somebody's fingers and like try to like get half their Bitcoin and like be like a real not such good person, or I could just be kind of a decent human being and be like, yo, I got these apples.
Yeah.
Like, you want to buy some? You're like, yeah, sure. Like, I'd like to do that.
Yeah.
And to me, like, it's the projection onto the idea that actually like raises our consciousness in such a way, in addition to understanding the total impossibility that we finally overcame, and this light bulb of like, oh, this like violent apparatus of law that we use that oscillates between violent making law and violent destroying law, we finally found an ability to overcome that peacefully. And it's honestly overwhelming a lot of the times. Like, look at it and be like, this is actually it.
Yeah.
And that's part of why I got so deep into philosophy, was like, I had to know, like, is this actually what I think it is? Or is this some kind of trickery and sophistry to get me to convince myself it is? And after a decade, it seems like that it's actually real.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. And like the thing that it implies, that it's better to just interact peacefully with people rather than be criminal against them, is that criminals in the future, there was of course still be criminals and bad actors, but you remove all the intelligent bad actors. So you'll just have stupider and stupider criminals, because all the intelligent people, even the fucking psychopaths, will come to the conclusion that it's better for them to just interact peacefully with people. So you get stupidity go up in criminals or intelligence.
Well, it's funny. You almost get like the bellwether meme with it, where like the stupidest of the criminals are going to be like, well, like we can't do anything, so we may as well just like be Bitcoiners. And same thing with the right side, whereas the middle are like, oh yeah, no, there's ways to compromise, and like they want to fight the system in every way.
It's always the middle of the that causes the most problems.
Every time.
Yeah, the redneck with the shotgun is as much of a Bitcoiner as the really, really intelligent cypherpunk. So the people on the edges of the bell curve gets it. In that,
yeah, and it's I don't know, but just the way that we have this system that seems to truly respect everybody in a homogenized way, at the same time, in the most extreme way, allowing for people to maintain their individuality. It seems to be taking the aborted political systems of the 20th century and fusing all of them back together through a methodology of cryptography that, I don't know, to me, it seems to be the destiny of humanity for us to rise ourselves to the task to have the truest form of law for all people everywhere. And to me, more importantly, one of the things that I sometimes have this conversation with my liberal friends who want to bash on Bitcoin is I'm pedantic with them. I go, Bitcoin is not about the West. Bitcoin is about the South. And like, if you really care about these people that have suffered under the imperialism of fiat, you'll see that Bitcoin's truest mission is to liberate these 4 billion people that have had the state's foot on their neck for the last 100 years. And the bloom that's going to come out of this is incredible. And we're already seeing that on the periphery with like some of the developments that are going on in places like Africa or India or other places in the global South. And so it's amazing to see that consciousness rising and people really getting like, whoa, like we can change this nightmare that the 20th century seemed to have pushed us out into.
Yeah. We have a question here in the chat. Can you put it up, Luke, that touch on the risks, potential scenarios it could result in? Yeah, I want to answer that as best as I can. And Hodlonaut and Erik, you can fill me in if I'm wrong about some of the technicalities. But a 51% attack of the Bitcoin network would require the attacker to shadily buy miners mining power worth about $1 trillion. Without anyone else knowing. And then they would have to deploy all those miners all at the same time. And all they could do was one double spend in one block. And then they're thrown out of the network again. So the incentives to even try to do that are simply not there, because first of all, that even thinking of such an attack requires quite a deep understanding of how Bitcoin works. And if you have that, you're a Bitcoiner. So you don't want to attack it. So like no one has the incentive to do so. Even the most evil of cabals and the governments and big corporations across the globe. First of all, they couldn't do it. And second of all, they don't really, if they understand Bitcoin, they don't have an incentive to do this, because by doing so, they'll destroy the best investment of their lives. Like, I just don't see that happening. What's your thoughts, Hodlonaut?
No, I was just, I don't think they need to buy all this hashing power secretly. I think, it is maybe not, I don't know how plausible it is, but regulatory capture is an avenue that is kind of relevant here as well. Like, what we saw with Marathon, who announced that they would only accept compliant transactions. They kind of backed down from it. I'm not even sure what's the status with Marathon at the moment, if they are mining OFAC compliant transactions only or not. But we could, especially with how the world is developing right now. The authoritarian, what used to be authoritarian creep, which is basically now an authoritarian sprint, could, make it. As certain miners are starting to get reasonably big now. Riot, for example, is growing a lot. They look like they will, resist any such regulatory shenanigans. But you never know. When you have big miners operating inside the financial system, being listed and all kinds of shit. It's not too difficult to put pressure on them, but to see more than 51% of global hash rate being captured like that it's really hard to see. But maybe it's not something that should be entirely discounted either. I'm not sure.
No, good point. Erik?
Yeah, I'm much more concerned about regulatory capture, and I think the most important thing is looking back in terms of historical context. Like the 51% attack is sort of this like, look, like it's chaos, like anybody can kind of attack the network, like it's open and free for anybody to do that attack. Whereas a regulatory attack, this has a lot of the same problems that, frankly, that we saw about like what happened in the Holocaust and why people conducted these massive crimes against humanity. Was like, it wasn't just because it was an open-ended chaos and it was like, yeah, you can like go kill whoever you want. It was like, no, specifically people came and they're like, hey, if you don't murder all these people, we're going to murder you. And to me, like, that's what's much more dangerous, is that now we have all of these clear net miners that will go like, whoa, okay. But I think even in this, it extends the playing field insofar of that miners that are mining in open pools that are clear net are going to be like, hey, perhaps we should put some of our hashing power in different places. And then we also have the third layer of like, there are a bunch of unreachable nodes that like when they see the networks getting attacked, they like boot back up online. And the way that they're going to reconnect to the network is going to be in order to help it as opposed to help the attacker. So to me, the 51% attack is like, it's approaching a castle with a moat with really strong walls. And they're just like, yeah, we're just going to try to break into the castle. Well, like you're going to kill everybody in the process on your team. So like, you're welcome to, it's just kind of dumb and you're going to waste a bunch of money, which is really what a 51% attack is. So like, I hope that we'll actually see these sort of things, because it would be awesome to watch the state be like, yeah, we like destroyed 4% of our GDP by trying to attack the Bitcoin network. And it turns out we just can't win.
It's getting exponentially harder every year as well, because hashing power go up and the node decentralization go up. So if they should have attempted this way back, maybe someone did. I don't know if there was an actual 51% attack at some point in Bitcoin's early history. Maybe someone else knows that better than I do. But still, it just seems so like we should have seen that already. What you could attack is Bitcoin Cash, because Bitcoin SB, because like What's the mining reward for Bitcoin SV again, Hodlonaut? It's like $50 or something to drive.
But you're trying to make money, though.
I think
That's the problem.
I think they're hovering just under $10 in total daily fees on the BSV network.
In total daily fees.
Yes.
Well, good luck. Good luck surviving, Greg.
Yeah.